For this reason, and many others, she jumped a plane and headed west to Utah. There she learned the fine art of juggling college with freedom finally winning out. Finding herself not interested in school, she decided to marry and move to Francis. While living in Francis, she became a mother and then a single mother. She now enjoys long walks in the mountains and dinners of steak and potatoes. This is Heather's second speech and is titled, Dating for the Divorce. Please welcome Heather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This speech may be a little archaic in content, so bear with me. It is important to know that dating has evolved over time. When we were young, we had the freedom to go out night after night and not have a care in the world. Dating for divorced parents now includes sports schedules, school schedules, and scheduling with the ex. We also have new technologies such as computers and cell phones to add to the mix. This allows us to get rejected in many other ways, such as text, email, and instant message. Let's look at 4 areas of dating. It's a big step to admit that you want someone again, right? It's even harder to find somebody with similar interests. It takes courage to put yourselves out there like a carrot dangling in front of the horse, hoping more than one horse will notice. Because time is limited, we look for other areas in which to meet people. These can be school functions, kids' sports activities, and yes, even the grocery store. The next thing you need to do is you need to rediscover who you are. It is important to know that most likely you will not find Mr. and Mrs. Right until you are right with yourself. For me, when I got divorced, I didn't know who I was. I was so busy taking care of my family that I forgot to take care of myself. I didn't have any real hobbies or activities that I enjoyed doing. And when my son was gone, the house was extremely quiet. So I started snowboarding and mountain biking. I found that I enjoyed being alone, and I was okay with it. I got to a place where I was happy and content. Learning to be alone does not mean isolating yourself and only talking via text and email. It means try something new, something outside the box. For me, it was skateboarding lessons. Why skateboarding lessons? It was challenging. It was something I could do with my kid, and I thought it would look really cool if I ever got to drop into a bowl. It's a long process to find that special someone. And while you're in the process of finding that someone, there's no reason you can't have a little fun, right? While in the process of looking for Mr. and Mrs. Right, fortunately, we have Mr. and Mrs. Right now. Ever heard the phrase, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone? It keeps us satisfied as long as we don't get emotionally involved. It is important that we keep the two separate. And the hard part comes when the two collide, and it usually never works out. In a true course of love, we must kiss, have sex, hang out, and make out with a lot of frogs. With each experience, we learn more about who we are and what we want, so when it's presented to us, we can seize the moment and recognize it, seize the moment, and we will be confident knowing that through our own self-discovery, we have not settled. Once you have sowed your wild oats, dating guidelines should be in place. These guidelines should be adhered to strictly. They're in place for your own protection. And when you meet that someone on a date, you already have in your mind what you will and will not settle for. The first one, meet your date there. There is nothing worse than an awkward ride home after you've just spent a painful hour at dinner. Thank goodness they've offered to buy your dinner, and you can be gracious and say thank you. Another guideline is do not introduce your kids to your dates. This is the time for you to bond with your children, and throughout the early process of of being divorced, at some point your kids will want you to get back with your ex. We know that that is unrealistic, right? So if you choose this time to bond with your child and you save your dating for when they're with their ex, then when you introduce them, you have a closer bond with your family and your kids, and they would be more receptive to the person you're dating. And the third one, don't bring your dates home. Your home is your safe place, and it should stay that way until you're ready, until you met that certain someone. So as we discussed, there are four different areas, places to meet them, rediscover yourself, sowing your wild oats, so to speak, and dating guidelines. We learned through all these experiences, all the rivers and valleys we have gone through are shaping us into that independent, strong version of ourselves we know is in there. It's important to know that if we keep realistic standards, we will either find love or we will be happy with our three best friends, me, myself, and I. There is no reason you can't be happy by yourself. Find outlets for your frustrations, and who knows, you may find you're in a good spot.